Hello. So it has been a while since I've updated you guys on what we've been doing at the allotment. So I'm going to take you on a bit of a tour today to show you what I've been up to, what's been going well and what hasn't been going well, and sort of let you know what I've been up to. So first of all, if you're new here, my name's Gemma. I show you all the things that I'm doing on my allotment, usually on a weekly basis, but I have been taking some time off recently. This is Vince. He helps me out at the allotment when I need some heavy lifting done, and a lot more. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that Vince does most of the heavy lifting and I do most of the talking. So anyway, we've been having some time off just to filming. We've been having a little break. Things have been quite hectic and quite busy for us. So we've just had a nice little break. We've still been coming up here, but it has been really, really hot in the UK the last couple of days. So we've had like 29, 30 degree temperatures. So I haven't actually been up here for a couple of days. So I thought I'd bring you with me and get back into the swing of things by showing you what's been going on down here. So let's start with some of the successes. So as I'm walking in, I can see some ripe blueberries. I'm absolutely over the moon because I only got this blueberry plant at the beginning of this year or the end of last year, and it was one of the ones in the bargain corner at my garden centre. I don't know if you remember. And it's actually got blueberries on it, so I have been harvesting them. I've harvested probably a couple of handfuls, but there's still absolutely loads on here. It is absolutely laden with blueberries and they're all starting to really ripen up, so I think that is really exciting and something I wasn't actually expecting this year, which is really nice. Right in front of me I've got my raspberries, so I've only got I think probably like 4 or 5 on there. I've had a few that I've been harvesting, but they are brand new canes that I put in, so I don't really know what I was expecting, but they're growing really nicely. The strawberries that I planted into these wooden containers, they haven't really done much, if I'm honest. They put on a lot of foliage. They have got a few little flowers in there, but they're not really coming to much, so that's not really a success story. But again, I only really planted these this year, so I wasn't really sure what I was expecting, but I think these need to be moved. What I'm going to do, my plan for these containers here has sort of changed. So they run right along the side of the fruit cage, on the inside of the fruit cage. So Vince has actually dropped off a couple of bags of compost. I'm going to fill these with compost. I'm going to remove the strawberries and I'm going to make a strawberry bed, because I haven't really got that. What I've got at the moment is a lot of strawberries dotted about here and there, and actually they're quite hard to cover up and they're hard to protect from pests and little things wanting to eat my strawberries. So I'm going to do a strawberry bed and I'm going to cover it, and I think I'm probably going to do that at the front of the plot where I had my courgettes last year, where I've got some dwarf beans at the moment. But they're going to be moved, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually put some peas in, so some late peas. I'm going to direct sow them, and I'm thinking the bindweed is growing quite nicely up the net, so why can't the peas? So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them in here, I'm going to put some canes in and let them grow up there, and that'll be a nice harvest of peas hopefully in the future. Coming out of my fruit cage, we have got my mini polytunnel, which has changed from the last time you saw it, and I'm going to explain why. I've had a problem with my chilies and peppers. So my chilies and peppers were eaten to an inch of their lives. There was pretty much nothing left of some of them. I did rescue a few of them and I potted them up, and they're now in my greenhouse and they're doing really well. But I had to replace these, so I had a lot of spare San Marzano plants, so I have just put them in. Whatever I had left, I've just put them in here, and there was 2 Romas already in here, which are now actually looking like they've got some tomatoes on. But that's now what is going on in the mini polytunnel, and I have actually got at the front, like I said, I've got strawberries dotted around everywhere. I've got some at each end, so they're going to be going into the main strawberry bed when I do that. But I'm quite pleased with this so far. So the fruit cage and the mini polytunnel at the moment are a success. So I'm going to take you to the front now. So I haven't actually seen this for a couple of days, so I'm looking at this at the same time as you guys. So at the front of the plot I've got this bed here, which I had my courgettes in last year, and it did really, really well. Now I don't know if anyone did see this, or if you're new, I'll explain now. I was digging in this bed and I found a layer of plastic in there. So I wasn't really sure what to do with this bed, and I found that quite late on in the season, and I didn't really have time to do anything about it at the time. So I thought I'll just sow some dwarf beans in there, have a nice crop of them, but nothing's really come to them either. As you can see, nothing's coming up apart from a couple of weeds, which is why I think I'm going to make that into my strawberry bed. So I can have loads of strawberries in there, and I can actually cover that as well. So I'm quite excited about that. So either side of my archway, I've got beans planted down each side here. This side is my Greek gigantes, and they're doing quite well actually. They're not doing badly. They're doing okay. And I harvested my garlic out of here, and that was doing really well. I've got some nasturtiums, which to be honest aren't thriving in this bed, and I've also got my shallots dotted about as well, and some borage. That is what is going on in this bed. To be honest, my beans last year were absolutely huge, but we've had a bit of a funny start to the year, haven't we? It's been wet, it hasn't been hot at all. I mean, the last week or so we've had really good weather, so amazing, but we haven't had that. So it's a different year, but I think every single year is different, isn't it? So we just got to go with the flow, and the beans will catch up, I'm sure, in this nice weather we're having now. I've actually just spotted here, we've got some flowers, I don't know if you can see that, some nice purple flowers on there, and they're really starting to climb now. So I think they will catch up. Now, this was a bit of a disaster in this bed, the other side of the frame of my arch. I've now put in some little willow obelisks that I actually had in my garden and I wasn't using anymore. So I've popped them in, and I've popped some climbing beans on them, just a variety of beans that I had as spares. They're now all planted in there. A lot of them have actually been eaten. I've only got one courgette left, guys. I've got one courgette left outside. So in this bed, it was probably about a month ago actually, in this bed right here where I had my parsnips last year, I'd planted my courgettes. There's nothing left of them, they all got eaten. So I had 5 in there. Then I planted some more along this row here, and I've only got 1 left. I've got 1 courgette. So I've got another 4 or 5 at home, which I can possibly use if I need to, but the rest of them that I planted out again, it's like courgette. I never thought I'd want more courgettes. Usually we can't get rid of them, and this time I can't get enough of them. They keep getting eaten. So right here in the polytunnel, just in front of my cucumbers, I've got a couple of plants there which have made it, and I've got, have I got another one there? Yeah, I've got another one just in front of the tomatoes right here, and then I've got another one here. So it's overkill with courgette plants, but I don't know how many I'm actually going to have because they've all been eaten by slugs. That is my question of the day. What is the pest that has caused you the most problems this year? I will tell you mine has been slugs and snails. They've eaten everything. They've eaten absolutely everything. My dwarf French beans that I planted, so I planted a whole load of courgettes, and I planted the whole bed with dwarf French beans. This is the only one I've got left. I've got 1 left. I've got 1 with a couple of beans on it, and that is it. This whole bed was full. So all I've been doing is, as it's getting eaten, I've been replacing it, and as it's getting eaten, I've been replacing it, and it's worked out well. I mean, we have different things each year, don't we, that go wrong, and this year it's definitely things being eaten, but I've had a lot of success as well. So these are my first earlies. So this was where I planted my first earlies. I have actually started harvesting them. We've been eating them for a good couple of weeks now, but they're definitely going over, and these will be harvested again in the next couple of weeks, and they'll be all gone. My rhubarb, success. So my rhubarb, which for those of you that have been watching me, you know I've never had luck with my rhubarb. It's been moved a couple of times, it's never really been happy. I've now planted it in a raised bed, and they seem to be doing okay. They seem to be putting on some growth. They seem to be quite happy. I've got them covered with some wire cloches, and that seems to be working. So I'm going to keep them there. Hopefully next year I'll have a crop of rhubarb, but we'll have to see, I think. So next to my rhubarb is my 2 little containers that I've sort of been playing around with. So in one of them I've got some horseradish, and in the other one I've actually got some tomatoes. They're like the cuttings of the tomatoes. I just put in there because my sunchokes never actually came up, so it had compost in. I was pruning the tomatoes and I shoved them in, so we'll see if anything happens with them. But my horseradish is just getting eaten and eaten and eaten. So as it's coming out, as you can see, there is bindweed absolutely everywhere, as it's coming out, it's just getting eaten, but I'm just leaving it there to do its thing, and if it gets hot enough, hopefully it will put on enough growth that it will stop anything from eating it. Yeah, this is where I put my tomatoes. I haven't watered anything obviously today, so they might perk up a bit, but to be honest, that was just a bit of an afterthought. It was more just, I've got a bit of space, I've got these cut-ins, I'll put them in, we'll see what happens. So the only other thing really to show you out here is my potatoes, which are doing really well, and my asparagus beds. So I'll give you a bit of an update on them. So I've got my second earlies and my main crop. So they are in the beds behind me. They're looking fine, they're looking absolutely great. I haven't really done much with them, just let them do their thing, and they're doing absolutely fine. My new asparagus bed has only actually got one little tiny asparagus that has made it, which is here. But that's better than nothing. I'm quite happy with that. And then I've just got some nasturtiums in that bed. But this happened. Oh no, I've actually just looked and there's another little one coming out. There's a tiny little one coming out. So if you can see that, that's another one. So actually, that's 2, I think, that have made it. I did have 6 in this bed. But this happened to me with my old asparagus bed. I say old, it's only like 2 years. But 1 year a couple of them didn't come up, and then they came up this year, so I don't think you can really tell, but hopefully some more come up next year. My old asparagus bed has actually got 2 lots of asparagus that are absolutely huge. So here they are. So this is 1 crown, and then I've got another crown here. They're looking really good, and then my strawberries in here are looking really good as well. They've got strawberries on them that are really big, but they're not ripe yet, so very excited about that. Now I'm going to show you my raspberries. So I planted raspberries where my compost bins were, so I've kept the bins and I've just put raspberries on them. A couple of them weren't coming up, so what I did was I dug up the ones that weren't coming up and I took them home, and I've just potted them in compost just to see if anything comes up, and then I'll bring them back down. And the rest of them have. So I've got 4 out of those canes that have come up, and they're putting on a lot of growth, so I'm really pleased with that. I think it's a better use of this space. I've now got my compost bins all in a row here, and I'm using them. It's so much better, so much more organised, and it's actually skip day this weekend coming, but we're not going to be here, so our lovely allotment neighbour has offered to take my old polytunnel cover and put it in the skip when it comes. So Vince has literally just been down now. He found a massive slug on it as well, and wrapped it up and put it there, just ready for him to take to the front when the time comes, because we're not able to do it. And then we're just back round to my, right in front of me is the pond area. It's looking very wild, but it's absolutely brimming with wildlife, so that's the whole main point of it, isn't it? I'm quite pleased with that actually. It's looking really good. And then I'm going to come into my polytunnel. So I've got 3 cucumbers. These are the 3rd lot of cucumbers that I've actually planted, because the rest of them got eaten. I've got some garlic here that needs to be harvested, and if I dig down you will see that they're really, oh actually I could probably just take that up. Let's harvest this garlic right now so I can show you. It's a good garlic there, look. Really nice. I'm going to harvest that today and take that home to dry out. There's quite a few dotted around here that I can pull up and take home. This is one of the courgettes that has made it so far anyway. Got tomatoes here which are just starting to ripen, which is good. I think I've got another cucumber under here somewhere. So I've got another cucumber here which actually is doing really well, so this is probably doing the best out of all of them, so that's good. I've got a strawberry plant here which isn't actually giving me any strawberries, it's giving me some flowers. Another couple of courgettes and another 4 cucumbers, but again I've planted so many of them because they keep getting eaten. Each time they get eaten I plant some more back out, so it's a bit of a to and fro with us at the moment. And my tomatoes are all looking absolutely fantastic, so I'll actually stand at the end here and just show you inside. And they're all looking fantastic. They need a bit of a prune. Some of them need help in going up their string, but they're all looking really good, and my grapevine is really starting to put on some growth as well. So all in all, I'm happy with my plot. Things have been going wrong. I mean, like I say, things have been getting eaten, things have died, things haven't come out that I thought they would, like my sunchokes, like some of my raspberries. But that's what it is, isn't it? You know, some you win, some you lose some. Some years are good for some things and some years are bad for some things. And I think this year's just been a bit of a challenging year so far. But it's good to be back. It is good to be back updating you with what we've been doing. If you do watch my videos and you do like them, I'm just going to ask you a favour. Could you please subscribe to my channel? Please hit the thumbs up. Do a comment, even if it's just a thumbs up, because it really does mean a lot to me, and it just makes the channel grow, and it just helps with what I'm doing, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you again soon.